with the previous graph they draw, just because I wanted to know if it was okay. And then I gave two exercises that are very simple at this point for acquiring the formal language. So I asked through a true-false exercise to describe what's the proper statement describing the function, and then a matching sentences that is also very easy to do, where they add the complete formal definition of the function when a, the base, is a measure of 1. And at last, in the same fifth exercise, I asked to write, by matching the sentences, by using the previous matching sentences definition, to write down the definition of the exponential function properly. The exercise 6 is just a note they can easily calculate, because they can work with power, to establish what happens when the base is 1. Of course, they draw the graph, and it's a linear function, is a constant line, y is always equal to 1. But it's very easy, because they can work in this moment with power. The last exercise is the introducing of the function when a is between 0 and 1. Thanks to our professor team suggestions, this time I introduced the text just for describing when the exponential decay is necessary in real life, because they have to know scientists use the exponential decay to date fossils, because of the carbon-14 radioisotope that halves every 5,700 years. So, if a material is alive, the 14 carbon is always constant. But when a material dies, it can be a bone or something else, if the scientists notice that there is 1/2 of the expected carbon-14 isotopes, they can derive it's 5,700 years old. And so, after describing the process, I inserted 3 graphs this time. And by having acquired the knowledge of the exponential function before, they already know that it's not possible, because it's a growing function, and they just have to decide between these 2 samples, number 2 and number 3. Of course, the number 2, because of the number, is the radioactive decay. The last exercise is again an assessment of learning for the function in the case a is between 0 and 1. I gave them the graph, the proper graph of the function of the exponential decay, and then I asked them to circle the right word. And of course, because they knew the function in the case a is over 1, they can easily deduce the proper words from this graph, looking at this graph. And finally, I asked again to write the proper definition by using the exercise before, by checking with the other exercise 5C, and then after a peer comparison with their friends. This is the last exercise, I can say, for the assessment. Again, just a few graphs and the requirements to write down the proper definition, strictly growing or strictly decreasing, but it's very easy to do. And the last exercises, we have to do them tomorrow, because I just tested the activity with my students last week. And I have to say that I could see my students learning by doing, because all of them were involved. Also the week in maths and in English. And tomorrow we have to go to finish exercise number 9, and 10. I know that it was a hard work, even if the argument was very, very simple. But for me it was very useful because I used it to learn to bridge content to scaffold, because I know that as teachers, normally, we are not used to give our students the formal language, the disciplinary language. So it was very hard for me, even if the argument is very simple. All I can say that what I learned is something that I'll never forget, that is planning for students working and not for teachers speaking. So thanks again for this opportunity. I think changed my way of teaching forever. Thanks a lot.
This is today's, as you know. With you exchange with
Francesca.
In case you don't, Ian and Michael, in case you don't know the names, this is Teresa, who's the second to last.
Okay.
Number 9 instead of Francesca.
I loved it. Okay. So my subject is law, and I'm dealing with this lesson with human rights protection and with specific focus on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So my students are of the fourth grade of Liceo Linguistico, and their language competence is upper B1, maybe B2, someone. So when I had to choose my topic, I chose this because I think this is a very good topic for a CLIL lesson, because you know the Universal Declaration is a topic of public international law, and I thought that maybe the idea of human rights might be interesting for my students. So I knew the main steps they should have known at the end of my lesson, but I didn't know how to explain this idea, these steps to my students. So surfing on the internet, I found a video, and I thought that that video might well be used in class, because it was a good summary of all the things I wanted them to learn. And I thought, yes, it is a very good, there was a very good language, because there was colloquial English and also specific English, juridical English. The images were right, the graphics, I liked them, and so I said, okay, I can use this, but the problem was that the language was a bit too quick, and also there were many phrasal verbs and expressions my students could not have known. So I built my lesson thinking of that final task. The video is the final task of my project work. And so here and there I put certain expressions my students will find in that video. So I thought, okay, at the end they will watch this video and think, well, this is a difficult English, but I can understand it. At least they have the ideas. So even if they don't catch every single word, they know, I'm sure they will understand, hopefully, the content. So I divided my project into 5 micro-clause, and I started, of course, with the definition of human rights. And here I had my first problem, because my first attempt was a complete disaster, because I thought that the idea of human rights was intuitive, so everybody knows what human rights are, but in fact they cannot define them, and it is important for a lawyer, for someone who studies law, to give a definition of the things we're studying. And so I had to think of an exercise for giving my students the definition of human rights. And I thought, okay, I'll think of a category of people who were completely deprived of human rights. And so my idea went to the deported. And to let my students understand the importance of human rights, I thought I have to compare them to animals, because animals are not expected to have rights, right? And then I put the Italians, that here I portrayed it happily living. And then I put certain actions, like they can eat, they are living beings, they have babies. So certain actions that are human rights or basic needs, something that everybody can do. So at the end of the exercise, they have to write these actions under the pictures. And at the end of the exercise, they have to draw the result of their activity. And here I put a graph. And this graph is made of three levels. The first one is the survival. The second one is the low quality life. The third one is high quality life. And when they draw the columns for each category, they realize that deported have less rights than animals. So I think with this exercise, they understand the importance of human rights and the fact that no human being can be deprived of human rights. So through this game, they get to the definition of human rights. And then they do an haptics, so they write down the definition under this poster. So they recall this idea and write it down. So now they have this definition, but for a student who studies law, that is not sufficient. So they have to understand the main features of human rights. And we define human rights with certain adjectives which are used in colloquial English, but in law these adjectives have specific meaning. So what I've done here is introducing the topic with a simple language exercise. They just have to put the correct tense, and they can do it easily because the verbs are just in present or past simple. So it's very easy, and they become familiar with these adjectives. Then I ask them to recall their previous knowledge through images. And here, for example, one adjective is inspirational. So I put the light bulb. So what I hope they will do is put in their memory these words, and then they match it with, and with the other exercise I ask them to be sure of what they do. So if I want to see if they if they understood well. So I ask them to write the opposite or an alternative way to say the same word. And then I get to the definition, to the juridical definition. Here it's a simple game of matching. They should do it easily because they've processed these informations 2 and 3 times, and so they should get to this information. Right, and then as an assessment moment, I ask them, what do we mean by indivisible? What do we mean by universal? So here I know if they understood what I wanted them to learn. Okay, then now they have a definition, they can say what defines a human right. Now they have to deal with the history of human rights, which is an important part for students because we have a certain protection of human rights because of a long history. And I said, okay, history is a boring moment. Every student considers history boring, something boring. And I said, okay, I'll start with a game. And I found this on the internet. It's a race, a sort of game. It's a time race. What I'll do is cut the little pieces. You might not see it. I'm reducing it in a minute. Okay. They will. I'll cut the different pieces of the different steps, which are part of the history of human rights, and they'll have to rebuild the history of human rights. Here, I paid attention in underlying certain moments of the history of human rights that they will find also in the final video. So, in the following exercise, I asked them to write down what happened in that year. And so they write down, and they write again, they match the pictures again, the same dates, but with a different approach. So they're now familiar with those events, so they should know certain steps of human rights history. And again, I go again on the same information. Here is a passage which was mixed up, and as an assessment, I planned this conversation which was mixed up, and if they well understood the history of human rights, they should complete the dialogue correctly. So in the fourth micro-CLIL, I'm asking my students to approach the Universal Declaration with a practical point of view. So I'm explaining them a scenario, and I'm telling them that they are settlers of a new planet, and they have to write a Bill of Rights. So far, they don't know what a Bill of Rights is, but I'm asking them to decide all together on a base of unanimity on 5 rights. But since they don't have the vocabulary, I have to introduce, before that scenario exercise, certain exercises that deal with vocabulary. So with this exercise, I'm giving them certain rights. Here you have the names of the rights, and they have to match them with the pictures. So here I'm building a sort of vocabulary, and here I'm consolidating it. So same rights, they write and write again. And so they're able to do the scenario exercise. So they know at least how to call the rights. So how to say libertà di pensiero, freedom of thought in English. So otherwise they could not be able to do that. Then, as a conclusive exercise for this unit, I present them the real Universal Declaration. The Universal Declaration is made of 30 rights. Here they find all the 30 rights listed, but I'm not expecting my students to learn by heart all the 30 articles. I don't even know them by myself. So what I want them to do is to at least have an idea of the content of the Universal Declaration, and I want them to approach these rights practically. And in fact, I'm telling them, okay, this is the list of all the rights. Now you choose which right is a collective right, so those rights you can enjoy with other people, and which rights are individual rights that belongs to you, and that's it. And then I'm asking them, with another exercise, to be in the shoes of someone else. So imagine you are an immigrant, or imagine you are a member of the retired category, or a gay or a lesbian. So would your point of view be different if you were one of those people? So in this way, they're having a very practical approach, because what we do at school is generally giving them theory, but in practice they don't know the content of the Universal Declaration. So I hope with this exercise they will see the Declaration from another point of view. And then I've planned a moment of a language moment, and there is a language moment and also for me an assessment moment, because through this exercise I can understand if they understood. Then the last part, the last micro-CLIL. So the importance of this declaration, because the declaration is not a binding document. So what my students say generally is, if it is not a binding document, it is not important. So in the last micro-CLIL, I want to learn them the importance, the moral and juridical value of the declaration. And I have to deal here with maybe something that is considered difficult. That is the idea of customary law. So customary law is not imposed by a government, but has a widespread acceptance. So I use the image here. So, and I'm introducing this idea with other exercises, and then I'm asking them, what do you think is the best picture for customary law? So, of course, here I have a crown and a group of people that should choose, I hope, the group of people. Mm-hmm. And then I have a fill in the blanks. And as I said, always on this idea of customary law. And then, as I said, the video that I'm not showing you, but there is a very good video. I would strongly recommend it. And this could, help them discuss this idea, because it's very inspirational. So there is a point of view of the importance of human rights protection today. What do you think? Do you think that human rights are protected really today or not? So it's a very good video, and I hope this will encourage the discussion in class. That's all.
The next one is the group. Yes. Stop.
Okay,
We stop before the
point.
group thing.
Okay.
That gives you a chance to get all the
So the next person is going to be the next group. Ce l'hai? No, guarda, no, lei pensa che ce l'ha. Perché? Questo qua. No, sì, hai ragione. Spegni il faccio. Ah sì, non sto nessuno. Ti lascio il rosso, vado al bagno. Andate via, ciao. Io vado al bagno. Al Marco. Dai, ma poi ce le scambiamo le sì, perché la tua mi sembra ce le scambiamo, no, possiamo utilizzare la ma voi domani no, ma io mo c'ho il computer, possiamo fare per mail. Per email, forse lo facciamo con i video, non è più facile con la pennetta. Io devo
The fourth consists of an outer membrane.
Ma sei single? Vabbè, ci sarà subito nei casi. Cioè, vertice non sì, quindi la mia.
Da qui praticamente per partire, no? Da qui.
Ma voi fate sì, sì, lei fa una presente, una parte. No, infatti era settimo gruppo, non lo so.
Sì, per tutti gli organismi viventi è fonte di cibo e di energia, quindi di vita, cioè al contrario, vita, cibo, energia e vita. E poi si capisce dopo il perché, non me la provai nel...
Guardare bisogna
Forse conviene che ognuno di noi che deve parlare si siede qua, invece no, adesso che parli tu stai seduta tu, poi lasci di stare lei e poi perché se no uno sta in mezzo e invece da qua io che devo parlare lei sto meglio e loro non hanno la visuale, no?
sì, chi deve parlare deve
Deve si siede al computer se lo muove da solo, no? Infatti, non avete messo, no? Me la passi seduta di fianco. Sì, basta, grazie.
Ma si chiama Ramos Chitano all'interno nella cartella che
Sì, molto carina anche la grafica, sì. Curata.
anche è stata una cosa molto last minute.
Ma no, se ci abbiamo un po' di tempo mi faceva.
Perché con i PowerPoint abbiamo un po' di dimestichezza.
La nostra sì, una presentazione pure la nostra è stata last minute.
Ma molto, cioè di stamattina.
Ah, no, vabbè, no.
Una cosa allucinante. Abbiamo dovuto fare con le nausea e vabbè,
Ah, vabbè, c'è la nausea.
Lei è stata malissima.
Io non so che sia.
Io dico, le ragazze sono
Io la prima.
no, se forse non ne ho avuto. Solo che non mi piaceva la pizza. Il pomodoro sulla pizza. Infatti a mia figlia non tanto piace il pomodoro sulla pizza. La seconda gravidanza.
Solo la mia tanti limoni mi sono mangiata. Infatti quando il primo sintomo ancora non lo sapevo.
Forse che fosse che oh, ma scusate, quella cosa è accesa.
No, io non vorrei che quello fosse
Ma potevamo aspettare questo coso.
Sai se effettivamente è efficace allora, chi ha noi no, noi abbiamo dato. Ci dimentichiamo che è accesa.
Sì, però se nessuno la muove non vengono bene perché
È troppo fissa.
è troppo fissa, dovremmo avere. E vabbè, dai. Tanto intanto la muovo.
Others will never go.
We are a group of Tina farà sta.
The title of our project work is LIF. LIF is an organ of plant, but also as the acronym. The acronym life, energy and food. Because the leaf is the seat of photosynthesis that is very important chemistry process, important for all living's life. And photosynthesis is source of energy, ATP, and food. The main goal is that the student have to understand that structure life is connected to its function. The content skills are to find out the different structures inside the leaf and their functions, how this structure work for a common goal, photosynthesis, describe the two stages of photosynthesis, and language goal are to improve writing and listening skills, to improve conversation by working pairs or in groups, to learn some specific terms of the discipline, so academic literacy. The work is divided in 4 lessons of 1 hour each. In expert 1, there are core concepts of leaf structure, and in excerpt 2 there are the core concept of photosynthesis process. At the end of work and after all activities, we would like to hear from our learners some of these sentences. For example, the leaf is the seat of photosynthesis. It has a layered structure in which each layer is structured according to its function. Photosynthesis is a 2-stage process. The first process is the light-dependent process, light reaction, and in second phase is light-independent process, dark reaction. And the lesson, the work is the content of excerpt 1 and 2 is the structured in 4 micro content learning objective, and it is Tiziana.
Our works is for the third class of liceo scientifico. The class is formed about 20 students of age 15 and 16 years old. The average English competence level of the class 8U upper. The specific topic is plant biology. The students have to learn the core concept that Tina showed before. Our students studied plant cells and the ATP structure as a reserve of energy in the cells in the second class, and they studied the process of photosynthesis in lower secondary school, scuola media, but as a general process. Toccato qualcosa che non dov'è?
Okay.
The learners start their activity from here. Unit 1, exercise 1. On the left side in the table we can see the microclaw. The unit 1 is divided in 2 macroclaw. Macroclaw 1, leaf tissue and localization, and macroclaw 2, structure and function of the different tissue. The students in the first activity have to circle the correct word between 2 words written in italics, named, colored, lower downer, buff, twist. This is an easy language exercise. Easy because this is a focus on language, but there is an implicit learning moment, because we introduce the specific terminology. We begin introduce the specific terminology of the subject using the easy exercise. In the second activity, the students write the current answer. They are forced to come back to come back to content of the sentences of the first exercise. In this, they write the sentences on the table, the sentences, whole sentences on the table. In this way, consolidation of content terminology. In the first moment, they work individually, and then check with others. The first activity is the assessment. In this moment, is important assessment to verify all students learned the contents in the previous exercise. The students have to complete the picture with fill gap with the right terms in learned in the previous exercise. This is an assessment, but is a consolidation of specific terminology.
Assessment of learning for learning.
Learning, yes. Okay. The activity contains of microclaw 2. The microclaw 2 link the structure of the leaf to function of the leaf. This is the first important moment, the first important core concept that we would like to transmit our learner. In the activity 4, the students looking at the previous picture write the right scientific name in the table connected to structure.
Choosing from what terms we have done.
Two words are extra. These terms are learned in the previous exercise. This moment, the new content on structure, explicit focus on content. Now let's find out the function. In activity 5, the students match the names of the exercise 4, connected the structure, with the function. Connect the structure and function. This consolidation about structure and the new content about function. Okay. An important no, allora, the last activity of the microclaw 2 is the exercise 6. This is an assessment. The student fill the gaps in the short summary about function and the structure. This is an assessment, but it is implicit training. The implicit training on writing academic language. We decided to include this picture, this nice picture, because at the first lesson, at the end of the first lesson, there is a summary written and a summary, visual summary. This point end the first lesson during about 50 minutes. The students work individual and then work in pair and discuss in small groups.
Now we have a problem because photosynthesis, we don't know what our students have remember about photosynthesis. So probably they don't remember the formula of glucose. Surely they know the formula of H2O water, and so just to remind, we thought to include this picture that summarize all the process, and no, sbagliato. And for the first exercise, the first exercise in MicroCLO 3 is the focus is on language. We put the sentences and the chunks to put in the correct order, so they easily can do this exercise, and at the same time looking at the picture and reading and understanding what there is written in the sentences, they can remind the process of photosynthesis they have studied in scuola media. So exercise 7 is pair work, because the process of learning peer-to-peer is easier for the students, and they learn specific terminology, but the focus is on write correct sentences and simulate dialogue among groups. Then there is exercise 8, that is only looking at the picture. They had to write down the formula. The formula we gave them in the previous exercise, the formula of glucosium. So I think they could do this exercise number 8. Then there is a summary written by a student, so they have called in cause, they have more interest in reading something written by a student and not from a text of some written books. But this student is good at English writing but confused about the content, so they had to correct the content mistakes they found in this short test. The mistakes, the number of the words, the wrong words are written aside each sentence. And in this text, short text, there is summarized all the process connected of photosynthesis connected to the leaf, from where water arrives in the leaf, and so on, oxygen, stomata, and so this picture is we thought to include this picture at this moment to have a visual summary, a visual of the mental process we would like our students do at this moment, because they have learned about the leaf, the tissue of the leaf. And then now we are going from organs, from the microscopic